Thank you so much, Tony Cordato, for being here with us today.
It's a pleasure, Tom.
Now we got a 4 question here regarding about seller finance. The number one is it possible for someone financed by the seller on the same term with the bank finance them?
Yes, of course it is. Well, let's think about how the bank finances people. They have what, 30-year loan?
30 year, 25 or 30 year is standard.
Yeah, standard. And then their interest rate is like 7 or 8%
The
interest rate. And then over the 30 years, they pay off the loan
That's right.
by monthly instalments normally. But also, when a buyer borrows from the bank, they have to look after the maintenance of the house, they have to pay the rates, the insurance. They're responsible for the house.
Right.
Now, same with seller finance, which we call instalment finance, and we use instalment contracts for.
Right.
With instalment finance, the seller offers 30-year terms. The seller says, well, if your interest rate will be something like 8%, and you just pay it off over 30 years with one change. The seller would like the buyer to pay it off a little faster by borrowing money from a normal bank or finance company after about 3 or 4 years.
Right. So if someone who can't get the bank loan right away, what they could do is they could do the seller finance, just like a stepping stone between where they are now to the banking system later on.
Yeah, it's a stepping stone, or sometimes you look at it as a bridge between where they are now and the banking system.
Yeah, does that lead to our second question regarding about this? So who would buy or sell finance?
Well, a buyer who likes the house and wants to buy the house.
Right.
They might have a bit of a deposit, but they may not want to borrow more than 80% from the bank because they've only recently got a new job, because they might be a tradesperson, because they might be working for themselves, or because there's some credit problem.
So in other words, anyone who can't get the loan from the bank right away, they should use the seller finance to own their own home right away.
Right away, that's correct.
Right. And what are the seller finance buyer need to sign, and what are their rights?
Well, there's one piece of paperwork, and it's called a contract for sale. Just like you start off with a normal contract for sale, in seller finance you have a normal contract for sale, and you just change it in a couple of ways. Number one, instead of 30 days or 42 days or 60 days to pay the rest of the money,
Just like a standard way of buying
That's
a
the
house
standard.
in the bank, yeah.
you have up to 30 years.
Wow.
So it's a long contract.
Right.
Number two, you, instead of waiting until you pay out all the money for the house before you get the key, you get the key straight away. And number three, because you get the key straight away, you become responsible for the council rates, the water rates, the insurance and the repairs.
Just like they gonna go to the bank, they have to do the same thing anyway.
Same as with the bank.
Right. Cool. And the last one we would like to ask you is, what does the seller need to do on their rights, and why would a seller sell with seller finance?
Well, the seller might have read the newspapers and found out how much profits the banks are making, lending money to home buyers, and says, why can't I make some of that profit?
Yes.
So the seller has a benefit where they can charge good interest rate
Right.
to the buyer. They have the benefit of achieving the price for the sale of the property that they want, rather than having to be bargained down in price. And they still own the house. The title to the property is still the seller's, so if the buyer defaults, they can have the house back.
Right. So basically, the seller become the bank.
Yeah.
So if someone who might not able to make the bank payment, it's the same way with the bank. Get the house back. This is why the seller get the house back.
Gets the house back. So
Right.
big advantage for a seller.
Yeah, and also they don't have to pay any real estate agent fee for it as well when they're selling this way.
No, that's right. And in fact, in some states, you don't even pay land tax.
Right.
How about that?
So it all come down to the win-win situation here for both seller and the buyer as well.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, great, cool.
So if they want further information, you can always visit my website.
Yeah, what is your website?
Called vendorfinancelawyer.com.au.
Yeah. Do you have a phone number that is someone who wants to have a chat with you?
Oh, I prefer if they email me
Yeah.
through the website on the contact me button.
Okay, great, cool. So if you have any questions, just visit Tony's website www.vendorfinancelawyer.com.au, or you could have his email on the website as well. I hope this video is help. This is Tom here from Own Don't Rent, making your home owner dreams a reality.